tear the heart right out of me. RDIVORC.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. Well, my dears, I have some interesting news for you that the King has been taking soundings in Parliament. I'm not going to specify which House of Parliament because I don't want suspicion to devolve upon anybody. But the King has been taking soundings from members of at least one of the Houses of Parliament. I need to be a bit mysterious because I can't indicate so precisely that I give away the sources. But he has been taking soundings about the custody of the children in the event of a divorce. I was told that the relationship between Meghan and Harry is dire, that it is, and I'm going to quote now, it is inevitable the relationship is going to collapse. It's not a matter of if, but when. Evidently, and I don't know that I've ever said this before, I can't remember because I was told it some time ago. And it dovetailed with Harry calling in the lawyers. And I don't even remember exactly when I said that, but I think it was sometime around the publication of Spare, either before, during, or after. I really can't remember now. But I think it was last year, towards the end of last year, that I'm trying to choose my words carefully. Bear with me, please, if you don't mind. That I was told that what absolutely was the coup de grace where Harry was concerned and has really slashed through the mast of the marriage was that Meghan was insisting that the book be postponed from its scheduled publication slot in, I don't remember now whether it was November or December, but it was one or the other. I think it was November. But anyway, whenever it was towards the end of last year. And she was insisting that the book be published 2 weeks before the coronation. And Harry point blank refused to do so, to his credit. Now, I'm not asking for a free pass for Harry for anything that he has done that he shouldn't have done. But I am certainly, in the interests of fairness, stating that despite those who think that Harry is as bad as Meghan, he may have been misled by her. She may have played upon his underlying dark side, and he has certainly done things he shouldn't have done, and that he will doubtless continue to regret. I understand he is regretting some of them already. And to give him his due, he refused to postpone the publication of the book. Meghan, evidently, this is what I was told, wanted the book to be published 2 weeks before the coronation. Well, can you imagine the impact it would have had? Because just consider the impact it had 6 months before the coronation. Can you imagine 2 weeks before the coronation? The whole business of the Taliban, the whole business of Harry literally targeting his father, the whole business of the accusations against his father, his stepmother, his brother, in terms of the press and leaking to the press and all the accusations that he came up with. And he, to his credit, point blank refused to do so. Now, for legal reasons, I need to point out that this is what I was told. And I regard it as credible because of the sources that conveyed this information to me, number one. And number two, the fact of Meghan's conduct throughout the time that she has been in the royal family and the things she has said, and what I know of the way she has treated her father and her sister. I know an awful lot more than I am at liberty to state publicly. So I say all of that for what it is worth. So evidently, that has been the major turning point in the marriage. There were also other difficulties that have undermined the marriage in a significant way, evidently. Not only the patent malignancy of coinciding the publication of the book with the coronation, but also evidently, and I can only go off what friends of friends have told me, that the filming that was done in, I think it was Queen Mary's doll's house, and that was done to the embarrassment of Princess Eugenie, and evidently a certain member of the extended family has yesterday confirmed to me that they were told that this created a huge problem between Harry and Meghan and Eugenie and Jack, and that for a while Eugenie was not on speaking terms with Harry or Meghan as a result of it. How true that is, I don't know. I can only say what I have been told. But evidently, Eugenie is responsible for the house, and it was filmed in, and she had no idea that the filming was going to be used for Netflix, and it's caused a major ruction. And I am told, and again, I have to qualify this for legal reasons by saying how true it is, I don't know, but the source is very credible, that she was mortified by the whole thing, and that the relationship, such as it was, has had a severe dent put into it to such an extent that whether they should speak or not, a lot of the trust has gone. Let me put it that way. So, it would appear that the story of Harry calling in the lawyers and that the marriage being in serious trouble is not pie in the sky. And the mere fact that the king is evidently taking these soundings suggests that it really is not a matter of if, but when. Because you see, there are all sorts of reasons of state why the custody of the children become material. There are also not party political, but national political reasons why it becomes a matter of supreme delicacy, because the king cannot be seen to be trying to grasp two children away from their mother, one of whom is an American-born citizen. So you begin to see the whole matter is extremely delicate. And he can't just wade in, fists flying, and actually spill the apple cart by speaking the unvarnished, or shall we say, presenting the unvarnished realities of the situation. Let us put it that way. That is in no one's interest, because no matter how crass and ghastly somebody is, once they've married into your family, you bend over backwards to prevent public exposure of their dreadfulness. And take it from me, I speak from experience on that matter. I bent over backwards to, first of all, never reveal, and then, secondly, to decorously conceal the enormity of what had taken place within my marriage. And it was only the fact that my ex-husband and his brother kept on placing and selling stories about me which were untrue that it forced me to retaliate, just to protect myself. Well, in a situation where a marriage is unraveling publicly, and this couple is in the public eye, and one of them lacks decorum, I can tell you it is a very fraught route to travel upon to maintain sufficient dignity and decorum to not be utterly tainted by the filth that you ended up in bed with. You know, mud sticks up to a point. even if you're innocent, there is something deeply unsavory about mud slinging and dirty linen being washed in public, especially with a married couple when they're both alive and when they are supposed to be, at least one of them is born into and the other has married into an institution that is supposed to maintain its dignity. So, evidently, there's more to come, but it's going to take time. And all I can say is good luck to the king. Good luck to everybody concerned. It would be very nice if the marriage collapses, that it does so with a modicum of dignity. It started out with an appearance of dignity. Within a matter of days, it had degenerated into something sensational and the object of speculation and curiosity, because 3 days after the wedding, or was it 4 days? 4 days, I think, after the wedding, as my book states in its opening, I was informed of something that so horrified all of us about Meghan's attitude towards her role that we all were put on notice that trouble might brew, and has it not brewed? So, user UU6RZ4WF7M, hi Gewalt, says, "Good morning, Lady C. Always looking so elegant. Have you seen the interview with Meghan Markle, connection with John Fitzpatrick and his connection with Bill and Hillary Clinton back in October 2014 with the Q&A Kiev National University interview with Meghan Markle?" The video is very grainy and the sound is really hard to catch. If you are aware of this, I'm sorry for wasting your time. You have not wasted my time. I do wish I knew who you were. I do wish that many of the YouTube noms de guerre would, because they can't be nom de plume, would actually become nom de plume or just straightforward names, because it's so annoying when you can't tell, because otherwise I get to recognize who's who and who's asking questions. Anyway, yes, I am aware of the interview. I have seen it. It is extremely telling. People have been speculating whether Meghan is a plant, because I'm going to read out before answering what Ellie Harper, who's one of many people who have alighted upon this subject, who is Meghan Markle's political mentor. There is something going on that is sub rosa. I'm going to tell you my opinion of what I honestly believe as a result of my investigations, which have been pretty extensive. Meghan is a hustler, an operator, a hyper-ambitious lone wolf who then spins things. She attaches herself to well-known people, and then she spins things so that it appears as if they have chosen her and that she is the special one and they have chosen her, and that she's not attached herself to them, when in fact she's like the village idiot who's always hanging on to the noble lord's coattails and making an idiot of himself. And that's apparent. But what she does is, she does it cleverly. So I do not think that Meghan is being handled, as some people seem to think. I think she will love to be handled in a political way. But so far, her handling has been, in other respects, exclusively. Meow. And I suspect the likelihood is they are going to remain in the field in which she has hitherto excelled, and they are not going to be transformed or transferred into the political field of any note. I could be proven wrong, but I suspect I'm right. I can't tell you how I come to all of my conclusions. I can only tell you that I have come to my conclusions having investigated the matter fairly comprehensively. You know, just because Meghan she attached her, I'll tell you how it's come about actually. She attached herself to John Fitzpatrick, who is a colleague and a supporter of Bill and Hillary Clinton. And Meghan was just a hanger-on until she fell into the royal bed, at which point there were more pronounced possibilities. But it is virtually impossible, if not totally impossible, and don't think that it is not obvious to the cognoscenti in both the Democratic and the Republican Party, that it is unfeasible for a member of a foreign royal family to hold political office in the United States of America. There's mileage to be gained from her support. As long as she is not a candidate, there is no mileage to be gained from her being a candidate. Think about it for 2 minutes and you will see the logic of that argument. But Meghan is very self-important. Meghan is very ambitious. Meghan has an ego that is beyond monumental. And Meghan is, in the view of professional medicos to whom I have spoken, not in touch fully with reality. And she thinks just because she wants it, she will get it. Well, there are times when no matter how much you want something, the likelihood of getting it is very remote. And there are other times when it's impossible. I'll use an example. It's as if Kim Kardashian had wanted, without plastic surgery, to have the nose or the bum with which she was born. Let's put it that way. You know, they weren't possible without plastic surgery. Meghan can hope till she's blue in the face. It's very unlikely. But that hasn't stopped her sucking up and attaching herself like a limpet to various political bodies, literally as well as figuratively, human as well as political bodies. My reading of what happened is that Meghan attached herself to John Fitzpatrick. Through John Fitzpatrick, she met Bill and Hillary Clinton. She, being a friend of his, because many people speak about things with their friends that they do not expect those friends to then leak publicly. And Meghan, I think, was bigging herself up. If you look at that interview, it is almost as if she's positioning herself to ultimately enter politics. And she is giving them the scoop that Hillary's going to run for president next year, which she has heard from John Fitzpatrick. Now, John Fitzpatrick wasn't the only person who in 2014 knew that that Hillary Clinton was going to run for president. I knew it. Practically everybody in a certain sort of world at a certain sort of level knew it. So, I mean, the fact that Meghan says it a year before, sort of thing, it happens, doesn't mean she was unique. She wasn't. It was very common knowledge. Maybe not amongst the general populace, but it was certainly common knowledge amongst those who were politically astute and in positions of, within the establishment, irrespective of left-wing, centrist, or right-wing. People knew. So don't give more credit than it is due to Meghan. She's very adept at spinning a yarn so that you end up putting in your mouth and repeating the words that she has actually spat into your mouth. It's as crass and crude and distasteful as that, in my opinion. So I hope that answers the question. Neely P says, Lady C, what do you make of Valerie Biden's endorsement of Meghan for the White House? She tied with Kamala Harris and was ahead of Hillary Clinton in a poll. And of Scabies' announcement that he was stepping down by mutual consent as the Royal Executive Editor, Yahoo News. 2 questions, I see. Okay, sorry, I didn't immediately realize that they were 2. Sorry for running one into the other. I'll take the first one first. Valerie Owens, because that's her correct name, is and has been a political activist for a long time. I don't think I need to say too much about her. You can Google her. She is the sister of Joe Biden. Valerie Owens endorsing Meghan Markle is a face-saving gratuity. It is the embarrassed partner of a badly behaved diner in a restaurant who has embarrassed his partner by complaining about the food and walking out of the restaurant. And she says, pay no attention to my husband, he's had a bad day. I think that is the equivalent of this. I think that President Biden and Jill Biden wanted it out there for their own survival and the respect that they expect should be due to them as President and First Lady of the United States, and which they will have thought was endangered by the leak, which I understand emanated from their quarter, that Meghan had been and Harry had been declined a seat on Air Force One. The whole awkward matter of President Biden turning down Harry's request that he and Meghan join President Biden and Mrs. Biden on Air Force One. In other words, catching a lift. I don't know if you recall, but I have told you that people in California don't want to have anything to do with Harry and Meghan anymore, rich people, because they're sick and tired of them trying to catch lifts on their planes. But anyway, they have got out that news really to be supportive of King Charles III and the Prince of Wales. There are all sorts of reasons, aside from that as well, why it has been in their interest to put distance between themselves and Harry and Meghan. Not the least of which has been Meghan's nobbling of Gavin Newsom, Meghan's ambition to be parachuted in for the few last months of Dianne Feinstein's term. I mean, Senator Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. I mean, Joe Biden is the consummate politician. And incidentally, those of you who don't know what a consummate politician is, it's not praise, it's a description. I didn't say he was a wonderful person. I said he was a consummate politician. And I know that when I previously said it, people have alighted upon me and say, oh, he's not the consummate politician because he's not perfect and because he's dreadful and because he's this and because he's that. He can be everything that you don't like, and he's still the consummate politician. And he is the consummate politician. If you want me to explain what consummate politician means, I'm happy to do so. But I'm not bogging down with that at this point. So, Jill Biden and also then did not accept the invitation to the Invictus Games. So they have put distance between not only themselves and the Democratic Party and Meghan and Harry, but between the toxicity and the negativity that emanate from Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan are now regarded as box office poison. That's right. So, Valerie Owens wading in and saying something is neither here nor there. And what's really interesting is that Meghan in the poll was on a par with Kamala Harris, who nobody regards as a serious contender for anything except the Meghan way of achieving success. So, I mean, I think people would prefer if President Biden croaked that they keep him on life support until the next election. and that Kamala Harris would not be elected as vice president or running mate with the next presidential nominee of the Democratic Party. The fact that Meghan is on a par with Kamala Harris says that she's right down there, pretty much in the gutter. And below Hillary and above Hillary Clinton, well, except for Clintonite, I should say Hilarian diehards, nobody seriously expects Hillary Clinton to run for anything except a bus. And that she's not going to be doing. So I hope that puts the whole thing in its context, because I'm not sure that people actually always understand that politics is a very nuanced game, and BS reigns supreme, and I'm not referring to Bachelor of Science. And of course the Democrats are going to want to keep Meghan and Harry sweet. You know, one of the first rules of politics is keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And the second rule is don't ever make an unnecessary enemy. Why would they make an enemy of Meghan and Harry? So they've achieved the objective of making it apparent to the powers that be that they, the Bidens, are batting on team Charles, Camilla, William and Catherine, and definitely not batting on team Mr. DeMille. I'm the most beautiful woman on earth. I'm the fairest of us all. Do you like my brown up skin and my white, lily white part in the center of my scalp? Oh, Mr. DeMille, I do wish they'd make bronzer for the scalp. Oh, actually, Mr. DeMille, that's a great idea. I'm going to start a cosmetic company. I'm going to have bronzer for the scalp. Crazy. Anyway, I hope you understand. Now, the next part of the question was Amid Scabies' announcement that he was stepping down by mutual consent as the Royal Executive Editor of Yahoo News. Of Yahoo News. There's no of in the question. Sorry. Well, doesn't surprise me that he's right up there with Meghan and Harry and Valerie Owens. BS reigning supreme. And now I'm going to let you into a secret. Meghan's a goddess. You need to start to worship at her altar. Yes. And Harry is a genius. You need to start to take advice from him. All subjects. He's a genius in all of them. According to Scabies, he has stepped down by mutual consent in much the same way that Spotify and Meghan came to a mutual agreement to separate. He says, according to the announcement that I have read, that he wanted to dedicate time to his book. Well, I'm going to tell you what I have been told. Yahoo News were made aware of the fact that Prince William doesn't want to be in the same room evidently he doesn't want to be on the same planet. But he'll settle for being in the same universe with Amid Scabies. I have been told that Amid Scabies has an effect upon him that he has upon many other people. He makes his skin crawl. And Yahoo News was made to realize that if it is pretending to be or claiming to be a responsible news outlet, it cannot have its royal correspondent, or as they say, the royal executive editor, being pro Meghan and Harry and anti-William, Catherine, the King and the Queen. And not only coming out with gross inaccuracies, but actually making statements that, were they not royal, they would have sued long ago over. And Yahoo News realized that not only was its reputation for being a correct and proper purveyor of news threatened by the rabid anti-royalist invective of its uniracial, claiming to be biracial editor, but that not only had he alienated the future king to such an extent that William didn't want to be in the same room as him, he found his presence and his existence even when, I gather, even when he wasn't in the same room as him, he found his existence insupportable. And there were sound reasons for making it clear to Yahoo News that their reputation and their credibility and their appearance of fair play and being even-handed was not only in jeopardy, but had ceased to exist. And so Yahoo News did to Amid Scabies what Spotify did to Meghan. Adios, baby. Hope to never see you again. But of course, we're going to be all very hypocritical about it and pretend that it was a parting of the ways that you wanted, even though we're the ones who really wanted it. Let's wait and see how Meghan manages to spin the fact that Harry is the one who wants out, and that he wants out because he has finally come to realize that the woman he married is not the woman he's living with, and that the havoc she has created and would like him to continue to create, and the damage that she has wrought, has been unacceptable to him as well as to us. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. Please remember to keep the questions and comments coming in so that I can know what you would like us to speak about. Okay? Thank you so much. God bless. And if you have enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and Godspeed.